Hi everyone, my name is Jason McKenna and welcome to this evening's webinar in which we're going to talk about VexCode VR that you can use to learn computer science even if you don't have a physical Vex robot at home. Really excited for you to join us this evening. This is the fourth webinar that we've done. So really happy. This is the first webinar that you've joined us with. Welcome. If you've come back from some of the previous ones that we've done, we're very happy to have you back. But we're really excited to talk about VexCode VR with you this evening. So let's go ahead and get started with the webinar. Once again, my name is Jason McKenna. I'm the Director of Global Educational Strategy here at Vex Robotics. That means that I oversee all the curriculum development for our different platforms, including Vex Go, which we did our last webinar on, Vex 123, which we'll do a webinar on in the future, VexIQ V5, and our newest platform, which we're debuting this evening, which is once again VexCode VR. I'm a former classroom teacher. I taught for 20 years at a school about 30 miles north of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was a sixth grade teacher for a number of years. The last few years I taught, I was put in charge of the school's enrichment program, and that's where I first got introduced into educational robotics. So if you've joined our webinars before, you're familiar with this. If you haven't, once again, welcome. How this will basically work is we'll do about 45 minutes of Q&A, give or take a few minutes. And we'll have to spend the last 15 minutes answering your questions. However, if you do have questions during the course of my presentation, please go ahead and either ask those questions via Vex social media or in the YouTube chat. We'll have people working to answer your question during this evening's presentation. So if you have those questions, go ahead and ask them. And I'll also answer some at the end. This session is being recorded, so if you have friends who were not able to join us and you want them to be able to watch the webinar, or if you've missed something and you just want to be able to come back and watch it, you can go to the Vex Robotics YouTube channel and see the recording from this evening. So if you've joined our webinars before, this slide has been in all of them. I really love this slide. It's a quote from Bob Mimlich, who's the co-founder of Innovation First, and it talks about the fact that our greatest asset is not, the motors and the gears and the parts of the robots, but instead, it's the competition mentors, it's the classroom teachers, it's the volunteers at the competition. Of course, it's the students. That's what really drives the innovation in Vex Robotics. Unfortunately, since our last webinar on Vex Go, for all of us, our world has been turned upside down as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. There's over 1.5 billion students right now home and not going to school. We've worked really hard over the last couple weeks to try to meet the reality that 60 million teachers right now are teaching from their living rooms instead of their classrooms. Many of those teachers are trying to teach computer science. Many of those teachers were using Vex in their classroom, and those teachers no longer have access to the robots, and neither do their students. So as a result of that, we've spent the last couple weeks working really, really hard on VexCode VR, so students that are at home without a physical robot can still be connected to Vex, and they can still learn computer science. So what is VexCode VR? It's a virtual platform that you can use once again to code a Vex robot. Let me go ahead and jump into some of the really important features of it. First of all, it's web-based. Okay, you're going to see that here in a minute. You do not need an app. You don't need to download anything to be able to access VexCode VR. All it is a URL. It's vr.vex.com. You can type that in right now and just go along with me as I go through some of the different programs I'm going to show you in VexCode VR. Those students that I referenced a moment ago, those 1.5 billion students worldwide that are learning from home right now, they're using computers that were probably loaned to them from their school. As a result of that, they can't download an app. Those computers, those tablets are all locked down. So we worked really hard to make sure this was web-based and it could work on every device. So you have a Chromebook, if you have a tablet, if you have a PC, a Mac, whatever, because this is web-based, it will work on any desktop or tablet browser. So you want to make sure that not only did we create this technology for you, but it was accessible to everyone. Second of all, this uses the existing VEXCode interface. So once again, if you are using a VEX robot in your classroom, if your students were using VEXCode IQ blocks or VEXCode V5 blocks, this is going to be a real smooth transition for them into VEXCode VR, and they can continue to learn those same commands and continue to learn the program sensors through VEXCode VR. Once again, this is using a virtual robot. It's a pre-configured robot. That way you don't have to worry about things like a robot configuration, but it is going to give you the opportunity to learn about different sensors and things of that nature, and I'll show that to you here in a second. And then finally, our virtual playgrounds. We spent some time making some really cool 3D environments, some 3D challenges that you can program your robot to go through and do, and we're really excited to be able to show that for you so you can go ahead and get started with that. Okay? So, without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump into a demo of VEXCode VR. Before I actually show you VEXCode VR, I just want to point one thing out to you. I talked about the robot. We added a section to our knowledge base. The knowledge base is our library of all things VEX. For VEXCode VR, there's a lot of articles in there. One of them talks about the VR robots. I just want to spend a second talking about that with you real quick. You'll notice that the VR robot has a number of different sensors on it. It has an eye sensor, one facing forward, another one facing down. Those can detect both color and distance, so that'll make it really cool if you're trying to navigate your robot through a wall maze or something like that. It has a built-in gyro, so you can make very precise turns and move very precise distances with your VR robot. It also has a pen right in the middle of the robot itself, and that opens up a lot of really cool things. We have one of our virtual playgrounds is an art table that you can use to draw different things on. So there's a lot of really cool things that you can do with that, with the VR robot. This article contains other information like the size of the wheels and things of that nature, but I just wanted to kind of show off to you the sensors and things that are located in there right now. So this is VEXCode VR. Once again, the URL is vr.vex.com if you want to type it in and kind of follow along with me as I go through here. But right off the bat, you should notice that it's very similar, almost exactly like VEXCode IQ and VEXCode V5 blocks. So, if you've used that in your classroom already, you could see that it's going to be an easy transition to go ahead and use that with VEXCode VR. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to move my camera over just a little bit because I want to show off the playground button up here in the upper right-hand corner. When I click on that, what that's going to do, it's actually going to launch the different playgrounds for me. So let me move this down there just a little bit. It's going to launch the different playgrounds for me. This is the playground window. Here you can see the different virtual playgrounds that we have that are associated with it. So right now I'm going to go and I'm going to select the grid map. What that's going to do is that's going to bring up a grid that I can obviously program my robot on. I have two different views in this window here. I have what we call the chase view, but I also here, if I click here, I have the top-down view, so I can see the entire virtual playground this way. I showed you the art canvas a second ago. I'm going to just show it to you again. This will be really cool with the pen if you want to draw an image or do a drawing or whatever. This is a great table to do that on here. We also have a disk maze. This one is great for using that eye sensor. So if you want to use the eye sensor to navigate through the maze, to detect colors and turns and do things of that nature, this is a great one for that. Probably my favorite out of all of them right now is the wall maze. So with the wall maze, all of us has probably programmed a robot to go through a maze at some point if you've used robots in the past. What's really cool about this is not only do we have the walls, but we've also included these different waypoints. So imagine now asking your student not just to get from the start to the finish up here, but to also, they could just go to the letter A or they can go to the letter B. It's real easy to differentiate this, or you can have the students, touch each letter in alphabetical order before they end up in the goal area. Lots of different things that you can do with this particular playground. And then finally, the last one we have right now is the number grid map. What you can do with this one You can program your robot to go to different numbers very simply. Program your robot to go to number 25, or you can program your robot to go to your age. If you're 9 years old, you can program your robot to do that. You can give your students a math problem to do and have them go to the sum or the product of whatever it is. You can tell students to go from 1 to 25 and put with the pen a red mark on every odd number. Really, the only limit is your creativity when looking at these particular virtual playgrounds that we made. As I mentioned at the beginning, we've worked really hard the last 3 weeks to get this out to you. We plan on adding more over the next few weeks and months. So if you want to see different playgrounds, if you want to see different robots or whatever, we'd love to hear your feedback via VEX social media. Let us know. We want to gather as much feedback as possible. Also, just like in VEX Code Blocks, we have the feedback button in the upper right-hand corner. That's where you can also let us know if you want to see different robots, different playgrounds, whatever. We would love to be able to hear all of that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the grid map. Okay, now the one thing I would also just want to kind of show off real quick, this is the expanded view that I have for my playground. If I did want to make it smaller, I can click shrink. Okay, this is the normal view here, but I'm going to go ahead and click expand so you can see a little bit better and see the entire program. If you're familiar with block-based programming, this should be very familiar to you. Just going to go ahead and drag in a drive forward command. Then I'm going to tell my robot to turn right for 90 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and right click on those commands. The context menu that's in VEX Code Blocks is also here, so I can just go ahead and duplicate these blocks. Now I can have my robot drive forward and turn. If I want to run my program, all I have to do is click start up here in the upper right hand corner. So I can go ahead and do that. I can click start, and now my robot will run that very simple program. Okay. If I wanted to go back to where I started, I can just hit the reset button in the lower left-hand corner of the playground window. I can hit start again. I can change my camera view as the robot is running. No problem at all there. But very easy to get up and started quickly. Just drag a couple blocks in and I can see my robot move. Okay, so very easy for me to get started. If I'm not sure what any of these blocks are, what they mean, we have help built into VEX Code VR. So up here in the upper right hand corner there's a question mark. I'm going to go ahead and just hide my playground and move that so it's not in my way. Another functionality that we built into that window. I'm going to go ahead and open up the help. I'm going to click on the drive forward block, and now information about that block comes up. So whatever block that you want to learn more about, I can just click on it. I can get more information about it. Also, if I have a block over here, I can click on it. The new pen functionality that we have in VEX Code VR, I can click on it and I can get information on how to use that. Also, tutorials. I'm going to go ahead and close the help. We do have 3 tutorial videos right here that you can use to get started. So if I wanted to watch a tutorial video and program along with it, you can say I can have all kind of things open in my interface here. I can play the tutorial video and I can go and watch the tutorial video in order to learn how to get started with VEX Code VR. Once again, we have 3 tutorial videos right now. We do have this getting started one, which is going to cover a lot of the information I just talked about right now. We have one that talks about how to save and load a program, and we also have one that talks about using the playground window, which I went into a bunch of information about there a second ago. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close the tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and show once again my virtual playground. And now I'm going to delete these blocks here, and now I'm going to go up to some of my examples. So I'm going to go to File, I'm going to go to Open Examples. I'm going to open up a little bit more interesting program. We do have a filter system up here. I want to use a program that's going to use that distance sensor that I talked about a moment ago. So I'm going to open up that program. Now I get a prompt since I didn't save my previous program. I'm not worried about that right now, though. I'm going to go ahead and hit discard. So now what this program is going to do, it's going to have my robot drive forward, and it's going to wait until the distance sensor detects something less than 50 millimeters, and then it's going to stop driving. So I'm just going to reset my robot here. Another really cool feature that we have in our VR window is I can click the button over here on the right, and it's going to open up my dashboard. And now I can get all the different sensor readings that are associated with the robot. So now as this robot's going to drive forward, over here on the right, you can see the distance value. You're going to see that change as the robot is moving forward. So let me go ahead and hit start. Now my robot's going to move forward, and once the distance sensor detects something less than 50, it's going to go ahead and stop, as it did right there. Okay, so that feedback that I get from the dashboard can really make the programming more interactive and more fun for students as they're learning computer science. Let me go ahead and add a little bit to this program now. So let's say that I wanted my robot to kind of move around the perimeter of my grid map. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to drag in another drive forward command. But now I'm going to make it go in reverse. Okay, I'm going to go reverse for about 50 millimeters. So I'm going to change my parameters. I could do this in millimeters or inches, but I'm just going to stay in millimeters right now. And now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to have my robot turn right for 90 degrees. Okay? And what I'm going to have now is I'm going to get rid of the stop driving, and now I'm going to go ahead and put this into a forever loop here, and now my robot will just continue to go through. So let me go ahead, and now I can just hit stop the previous program. I can hit play, and now you can go and you can see my robot run. Okay. Now a really cool feature about VexCode VR is what you saw me do right there is I can quickly make a change to the program, and I can hit play and get immediate feedback on what my robot is doing. That's we refer to that from a pedagogical perspective, that's a very tight edit-to-edit execution window. So what that means is the student is giving very timely and targeted feedback about what their robot is doing based upon the changes that they made in their code. That's great for learning. We know that that helps students learn computer science because they're given very quick feedback on what they're doing here in their program. And as you can see, that's very easy to do with VexCode VR. All right, you can see my sensor dashboard updating as the robot is turning and moving throughout the heading, the distance sensor, the location, the XY. We're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail momentarily. But all that is updating as my robot is kind of moving through here. I'm going to make this a little bit more interesting. So a lot of people have vacuum robots that go along and vacuum their apartment or house or whatever. So if I wanted the robot to kind of mimic that action, right now it's just moving along the border. I need to kind of get inside here if I want to have a vacuum robot. So instead of always turning right, what if I went to my operators and I grabbed a random block, and here I'm going to set a range of between 90 and let's say 180 degrees. All right, so let me go back to my chase view. I'm going to stop it, and now let me go ahead and start it again. Go back to my top view. I'm just going to close that for right now so you can see it. And now, okay, now great. Now my robot's moving a little bit more in the center of my grid. That's what I want. Okay. Now, just so you know, because we are streaming this, the robot, might, be starting a little bit, but this is very smooth as the robot is moving for me here. All right, if you're trying this at home, I'm sure you're seeing the same thing also. So now, if this was, a robot, like more of a vacuum robot, I probably want it to move a little bit faster. So let me go ahead and set the velocity. You can see I can make changes to the program while it's running. No problem at all. I'm going to change that to 75. Let me go ahead and stop it, start it, and now my robot's going to move faster. Great. Once again, very tight edit execution window. I can make a change in my program and see what happens with it very, very quickly. Great for learning, great for teaching. Now, finally, one of the things I talked about was that pen that we have with the virtual robot. Now, if I want to be able to see, like, is my robot covering the entire area? Let me go to looks. I'm going to put my pen down, And I'm going to set a color to it. So let's say now I want my color to be, I don't know, you can see that I have different options. I'm going to make it green. Okay, I'm going to stop the current program. I'm going to start it. And now I can see if my robot is actually covering the entire area here and if I have a good vacuum robot or not. I can go and I can change different things inside of it. Maybe I can change the range for how it's turning, whatever, if I'm not getting the result that I want. But here I get immediate feedback for what I'm trying to do with the robot in a real cool and fun way to incorporate the pen with what I'm doing. Another thing I want to show off that we've built in here for you, if I go to the chase view, I can actually zoom out of the robot. Okay, if I want to get a little bit of a further away, I can zoom into the robot. I can see the color on my pen is now green since that's the color I chose for it. I can also pan around. Okay, robots exist in a 3D environment. I can kind of mimic that and see the robot moving in a 3D environment through some of the different things that we've gone ahead and built inside of here. All right, so really nice, simple program that I can make with it and make the robot act like it is a vacuum robot. If I was satisfied with this, if I kind of liked what was going on right now, I'm going to go ahead and stop this. If I wanted to save my program, I can just go back up to the File menu. I can now go ahead and I can click Save to my device. And when I do that, you can see at the bottom of the screen, it downloaded to my device. It's going to be now in my Downloads folder. Okay. Notice I did not need to log into anything. I didn't need to create an account in order to save my program. I didn't need to do any of that. The reason why, once again, is we wanted to make sure that we emphasized access. Students are using tablets, Chromebooks, whatever that are loaned from the school. We didn't want to create a barrier of entry for students have to create accounts to do things like save a program. Instead, we have that all built into, there's no need to do that with VEX Code VR. If I want to name my project, all right, I can just go ahead and click in this window right here. If I wanted to name the project, I can name it Vacuum Robot. I can click Rename. I will have to select Save again. I can click File. I can click Save to my device. And now under that name, the program is saved to my device. So really easy to go ahead and save a program. Rename a program. If I had a program saved and I wanted to bring it back up, I can just click Load from my device and I can go ahead and I can pull that program back up. But once again, no user accounts are needed to do any of that. If you're a teacher and you're going to use VEX Code VR, all your students have to do is just email that program to you. You can go ahead and open it up and see if the robot does what it is that you assign the students to do with VEX Code VR. So really simple to be able to kind of check their progress or check their programs. Okay. All right, so let's explore some more of the functionality of VEX Code VR. One of the things that teachers are often trying to teach in computer science is conditionals, if-else statements, things of that nature, in order to be able to show off the robot in this situation making a decision. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reset, and now I'm going to go ahead and choose the Art Canvas. I'm going to go ahead and delete everything that I have in the program right now, very simply just by doing that right there. I'm going to go ahead and begin building a program. So I'm once again going to put my robot pen down, and now I'm going to drag in a forever loop. And of course, the reason why I'm going to drag in the forever loop is because I don't want my robot just to make a decision once. I want it to make a decision repeatedly. Since I want it to make a decision repeatedly, I need a forever loop to tell the robot to do that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my drivetrain and I'm going to ask my robot to turn right. Okay, but I want to turn right randomly again, just like I was doing before. So I'm going to go back to Control. I'm going to pull in a wait block. And now I'm going to go ahead and go back to my operators. I have this pick random reporter block because it reports a value. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it wait from 1 to 3 seconds. You can see it's very easy to change the parameters inside of the blocks. I'm using a Mac with a mouse, so I just click inside there. If you're using an iPad, you can just touch inside and be able to change those parameters however you want to be able to do that. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my conditional statement. So I'm going to go back to control. I'm going to grab this if then else block, and now I'm going to grab a Boolean block. So I'm going to grab this one here, and now what I want to say is if my drive heading in degrees is greater than 180. So if I go back to my dashboard here, one of the things it tracks is the heading. So right now, since my robot with the gyro is pointing straight, it's at 0. As it turns, it will change the value. If it makes a 90-degree right turn, it'll be 90 degrees, then obviously 180. If it's greater than that, if it's greater than 180, what I'm going to want my robot to do is draw red. If it's not greater than 180, what I'm going to have my robot to do is now I'm going to have it draw green. Okay? So now, after it does that, I'm actually going to have my robot then drive forward, and let's just say for about 300 millimeters as it goes through and it does that. Okay? So I'm going to keep it in its chase view here. What I want you to pay attention to is the heading all the way on the left of my dashboard. So now let me go ahead and play the program. So it's turning, and it is greater, so it's going to be red. It's less than, now it's going to be green. So I can see less than green. I can see that conditional statement working with the robot right now. My heading is greater than, it's going to be red. It's less than, it's going to be green. I can get instant feedback on what my robot is doing. So if you're looking for a real interactive, fun, and engaging way to teach conditionals, it's a great way to do it with robots and a great way to contextualize with robots. Another cool thing is you could see the robot pen actually changing colors as it's doing it there. So with robots, you get to incorporate things like sensors into what it is that you're doing. We give you the feedback on the sensors up here. It's, once again, this is a real fun and authentic way to teach this idea of conditionals. So a couple more here. This is going to be less than, it's going to be green. This is going to be greater than, it's going to be red as it kind of moves through here. So yeah, really nice activity. And now you see the physics, since it hit the wall, now kind of flipped up there. So we have real world physics built into this also, which is another fun way to do this. Of course, we don't want teachers to have to kind of think up with these things on their own. So the other thing that we've kind of built into this window here, as you'll see over here on the right, is activities. I'm just going to click on that, and what that's going to do is that's going to launch the activities that we've created for you with this launch. If you're familiar with VEX, you might be familiar with our STEM labs that are located at education.vex.com. Now we've just added the VEXcode VR platform to that. So you can go there, you can launch this directly from directly from your playground window right now, as I just did there. We have about 18 activities in there right now. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail at the end of the webinar talking about these activities, how we've structured them, what we've done with them. If you want to go check them out right now, you can. Once again, you can go to education.vex.com in order to be able to see that. But we wanted to get these activities up there so that teachers had some resources to be able to share these with their students. And of course, just like I talked about a moment ago, with the virtual playgrounds with the robots, we love to hear your feedback about what you want to incorporate in there. We'll do that same thing with the activities. We'll have more activities in the upcoming weeks and months as we go through. I'm going to go back to VEXcode VR. I'm just going to show off 2 more programs real quick. We talked about the location that's kind of built into there. We have a really nice example project that shows that off. So I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to Open Examples. I'm going to go to my Sensing filter here, and I'm going to open up this one for location. I'm not worried about saving my previous program. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the grid map there. And what this will do is this will show you, this will allow you to have your robot go to a specific location. I'm actually going to go to another one of our knowledge-based articles real quick that talks about the coordinate system that's within each of our playgrounds. So the size of all of our playgrounds are the same. It's 2 meters by 2 meters, and you can see how that's kind of laid out on the X and Y axis here. This knowledge-based article goes into all of that. And since our robot in Grid World starts over here in the lower left-hand corner, you can see because it goes from the center of the robot, it's at negative 900x and negative 900y. Well, what if I wanted my robot to go directly into the center, kind of at 0, 0? That's what this program does right here. So this program is going to have the robot go along the y-axis first. It's going to drive forward. Once it gets to a value that's greater than 0, it's then going to turn right. Then it's going to move along the x-axis until it gets to a value that's once again greater than 0, and then it's going to stop. So let me go ahead and close the dashboard. I'm just going to go ahead and run that program real quick so you can see it. Okay, it's going to go along the y-axis, then it's going to go along the x-axis, and it's going to end up directly in the middle of my grid. So a really cool feature that we have there built in. I'm going to run it one more time from the chase view, and you can see the X and Y axes now update as the robot runs through. So I'll click start again. Now it's moving along the Y axis. You can see the Y value change. And now it's going to move around the x-axis, and you can see the x-axis change. A lot of really cool things that we can do there with it. Okay. One more program I want to show you. I'm not going to build this program. This one's kind of this one I'm going to upload to the computer. I've showed you. I kind of started off with a very simple program using the drivetrain commands, and I've kind of moved up in complexity. Now I want to really kind of stretch what VexCode VR can do and show you some really neat functionality with it. And kind of show you that there's a really high ceiling that what you can actually accomplish with VexCode VR. So if you do have some more advanced students in your classroom that are interested in programming with arrays and doing things of that nature, VexCode VR is also a great solution for you. So I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to load from my device. I'm going to open this program up. And when it opens up, you're going to notice the first thing that you're going to see is this 2D array. Okay, so this program does use a 2D array. I'm just going to scroll down here. You can see here I have a repeat loop. Inside of it, I have variables inside this array. As I get a little bit further down here with the operator box, you can see now I'm using trig functions in this program. I got to be completely and totally honest with you. I didn't make this program. Our VP of Educational Technology, Mr. Tim Fries, he made this program, not me. So if you have specific questions about it, you can ask him. But this program really kind of shows off the ceiling that you can do with VexCode VR and all the different things that you can do with it. Let me go ahead and change my world to the art canvas because we are going to be drawing with this program. And I'm going to do the top-down view. I'm going to go ahead and click Start. And now, with all the different things I've written in there, what this program is going to do is it's going to make a word. And in a second here, you will probably be able to guess what this word is. There's a little bit of Wheel of Fortune going on right now. And then finally, it's going to do the last letter here. But once again, I just wanted to kind of show this to you to show that there's a very high ceiling that you can use with VexCode VR. So it doesn't, obviously for students that are just getting started, they're just doing introductory programming. This is a great way for them to be able to learn the basic fundamentals of both Vex Robotics and computer science. But if students are doing more higher level things, you can see with this program here incorporating the math, incorporating arrays, loops, variables, conditional statements. This is also a great way for them to be able to learn those higher end programming skills also. Okay? So I want to just kind of show off a lot of the things that we have going on with VexCode right now. And a lot of the different functionality that we have going on with it. Just a quick reminder, As we do have the knowledge base, the section with the knowledge base. I'm just going to click on that. We have 3 different subcategories here. Getting started. This getting started article that we have here, this kind of contains everything that you need to know to get started with VexCode VR. All the different things that you need to know are located, like how to launch it, how to create a project, all kind of located for you in one spot here. So our knowledge base, we've got a lot of great feedback on it. Please go ahead and go to it to get a lot of different information on VexCode VR. Let me just show you one more. We do have some more articles on the dashboard of things that I showed you here a second ago. Location details, so if you want more information on that, we have a knowledge-based article on that, and we also have a couple tutorials built in right now. The other key thing that I want to kind of show off here is the activities, okay? We do have a knowledge-based article that covers everything that I'm going to discuss right now. There's also a link to it in the activities themselves. But obviously, with students being home, we wanted to make these activities all student-facing. So there are a lot of teachers using technology like Zoom to go ahead and teach their students in a classroom. But there are also some teachers that are just assigning students work. They don't have that technology. So we want to be able to reach both of those use cases. So we've made all these activities located inside of here student-facing as a result of it. They each have an individual tile that gives you a description, an image of what's going on with it. I'm going to go ahead and click on Draw a House right now. And what this will do is this is actually going to open up a Google Doc, okay? We wanted to get this information out there as quickly as possible to you. And there's a similar layout to all of these activities. I have a category up here. This one is a movement one. Here, if I want to learn how to make edits, I can make a copy. And this takes me to the knowledge-based article here that actually walks me through how to actually go through and do that. You have to be logged into a Google account. But once you do that, it will show you how to make a copy. And now if you want to add stuff to it, if you want to take some things away from it, whatever it is that you want to do, you can go ahead and do that built into these activities, okay? We tell you the playground that you'll need to use for this, and then we have 3 different levels of the challenge. Okay, we have level 1, level 2, and then level 3. They grow in difficulty, so you can differentiate this if you're a teacher or if you're a student. If you want to challenge yourself, there's different ways that you can go ahead and go about doing that. Helpful hints, right? So we added some helpful hints here at the bottom for the students as you're going through it. Here we tell you that you can use the set pen color in the looks category to be able to draw your house. Each of these activities has this same format. So for you, the teacher, it's very easy for you to get up and learn to be able how to do this. You don't really have a lot of time to investigate different activities and the layout of them. It's very quick and easy for you to get started up with it this way. We have a lot of different activities, beginning very simple ones, like this one right here, just drive a particular distance. So if you have students that are just getting started learning VexCode VR and learning computer science, this is a great spot for them to start right here to be able to do that. We also have some more advanced activities. So let me go down here, coordinate number 1. Okay, this is a more advanced one here. Okay, what we're going to ask you to do here is ask you to have the robot go to some specific coordinates. Look at these pairs of coordinates. I'll now determine and estimate where your robot will end up after going to these coordinates. So you can see here we're incorporating math into what it is that we're doing. Then we have level 3, estimate the position block to go to where these different things are here. And then the helpful hints that I talked about a moment ago. All of these are laid out in here for you. Once again, you can just tell your students to go directly to education.vex.com, click on VR, open up these activities and go ahead and get started with them. You can go ahead and you can just click on the activities button in the playgrounds window. That will go ahead and launch this also, so you can see the different activities that are associated with this. If you as the teacher, if you want to change any of these activities, all that you have to do is make sure that you're logged into your Google account, make a copy of the activity, and then you can go and you can make any changes that you want to it. If you want to add your school logo to it, if you want to add questions to it, whatever it is that you want to do, you will be able to do that here within these particular activities. And as I mentioned a few minutes ago, there's a lot of different, we have 18 or so activities in there now. In the upcoming weeks, we'll be adding more activities to them. If there's an activity that you want to see, just let us know. Let us know via the VEX social media channels. You can ping me directly via either email or Twitter, and we'll be happy to get that on there for you. Okay? Show off one more activity here for you. Draw your initials one. This is a fun one. This is also another advanced activity. Create an algorithm to draw each letter of your initials. Use the pen to be able to do that. Draw your first name. And create a project where your VR robot draws your first and last name. So, and then we have the helpful hints located underneath of that. Okay, so we didn't just want to provide you with just the software. We wanted to make sure that we gave you help when you needed it and where you needed it. So whether it's the help for each block, the tutorial videos, the example projects, everything that we've done in the knowledge base, and also these activities here at education.vex.com, we wanted to make sure that you had a total package to be able to continue to teach computer science and VEX robotics while your students are at home. We've worked really, really hard over the last 3 weeks, really kind of pivoted what we were doing with our development to meet the current needs that teachers, parents, and students found themselves in right now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, due to the coronavirus pandemic. If you've been using VEX Robotics in your classroom, obviously we feel that VEX Code VR, it will be a great opportunity for you to continue to have that your students stay connected to VEX Robotics and continue to learn computer science. If you have not used VEX in your classroom before, but you're looking for ways to incorporate computer science in more interesting ways while your students are currently learning from home, we would welcome you to begin try using VEX Code VR. Educational robotics can serve computer science education in a lot of different ways. First of all, robots are fun. Okay, so robots are fun for students, and no matter what subject you are trying to teach, you are constantly trying to find ways to keep your students motivated and to keep them engaged with what it is you're trying to teach during the course of your lesson, during the course of the school day, and of course the school year. Robots are a great way to do that. Robots are relevant for students. Students see robots in their lives mostly every single day, whether it's from autonomous vehicles to the warehouse robots and things of that nature. That provides a natural hook for students to learn the relevance of both robotics and computer science as they are doing it. In addition to that, as you saw here with some of the different activities that we did, robotics is a great way to integrate computer science into STEM. Whether you're incorporating the sensors, the physics, you saw my robot hit the table and flip over there in one of the activities that I did. This is a great way to once again contextualize computer science inside of STEM, and that will also help your students maintain that motivation and engagement as they are learning computer science. Some really cool things we built with the dashboard, and you saw with that last program that I did, the trigonometry that was included inside of that. It's a great way to teach STEM holistically and to integrate all of those STEM subjects together so you're not teaching each of those things into a silo. Finally, with the virtual playgrounds, we feel that that's going to provide some really interesting challenges that will promote authentic inquiry with the students, which once again is a great way to achieve more learning gains, and it's also a great way for you, the teacher, to work with your students in a project-based learning environment. So once again, if you've not used VEX in your classroom before, we really think that VEX Code VR offers you a lot of nice benefits to teach computer science. Now that your students are home, that maybe that challenge with motivating your students is more pronounced. We feel like this is a great way to be able to meet the challenge. And then hopefully down the road, once we're through this, it opens up an opportunity for you to introduce VEX Robotics into your classroom, and you'll feel more comfortable to be able to do that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and switch back to my slides now. And if I am correct, I think we have talked about the activities. Yeah, it is a quarter till, so we are at time for our questions. Okay, so I'm going to go through and answer some of the questions that have been given to us so far during the course of the webinar. I have a question: will VEX Code VR be available for IQ blocks in V5 text? Well, first of all, as you kind of saw here, VEX Code VR is very similar to VEX Code blocks. Okay, VEX Code IQ blocks. The interface is the same. There's the drivetrain blocks are the same. Obviously, there are a few differences in it, in that now we have a pen command, we have location, things like that are built into it, as you kind of showed me here. But it's very, very similar to what you're doing with VEX Code IQ blocks right now. So if you're teaching with VEX Code IQ blocks, it's going to be a very seamless transition into VEX Code VR. It is on our roadmap to have a text version of VEX Code VR, so kind of stay tuned. We could have a webinar on that, here in the upcoming weeks and months, but more detail on that will be forthcoming. But yeah, we do plan on having a text version of VEX Code VR, so everything I just kind of showed off for you via with the blocks, we'll have a text version for that also. Does VEX Code VR work for IQ and V5 robots? No, VEX Code VR is its own platform. You saw the robot that we have in there right now. If we add other robots, there'll be more along the lines of that flavor. We don't view VEX Code VR as something that replaces physical robots. Instead, it just augments the experience of physical robotics in your classroom. It really kind of hits the need that you have here right now in your classroom. Okay, so we don't look to add IQ and V5 robots. Instead, we look to kind of, once again, augment that experience with what we're doing here. There are a lot of benefits to that, so it's going to kind of go through a couple of them right now. If you are a teacher right now, hopefully soon when you do get back into your classroom, and let's say you're using V5 robots in your classroom, if you have to leave your classroom for a couple of days, let's say you're going to go to a conference and you're not sure who your substitute's going to be, and maybe as a result of that you're a little bit leery about having the sub with the robots in your classroom because you're not sure of their classroom management skills or whatever, you can have the students work in VEX Code VR for a few days. That way you don't have to worry about something going wrong with the physical robots in your classroom. Instead, the students can be using VEX Code VR. Let's say that you have a student that's going to miss a couple of days of school. You can assign them work to do via VEX Code VR. Once again, all they have to do is type in the URL. They can use it on any device, so that student can still be engaged. Just like you send work home in the other subjects, now you can send some work home for students that are on an extended leave with VEX Code VR. Let's say when I was in the class, I used to get pulled out all the time. So I got pulled out for a meeting, I got pulled out for a conference. If you're in the middle of something, you can assign one of those activities I have on there. Hey, do this while I'm gone. Maybe you didn't have time to prep for something to do with the physical robots, but if you get pulled out immediately, you can have the students work on a project in VEX Code VR. There's a lot of ways that you can augment what you're doing with your physical robots, but we don't see VEX Code VR as a replacement as an IQ or V5 robot, but instead as a way to augment it. Does VEX Code VR work on Chromebooks? Yes, it does work on a Chromebook. Once again, VEX Code VR is web-based. All you have to do is type that URL into your browser, vr.vex.com, and you can start working on it right now. It'll even work on your phone. It won't look great because it's small, but it'll work on your phone also. And you can obviously work on your iPad, work on your Chromebook, in order to be able to do that. Will VEX Code VR have text program? Yes, it will have text. I mentioned this at the beginning with the previous question. The first text program that we'll be releasing is Python. So look for that to be upcoming in the near future, and I'm sure we'll be announcing that via our blog post and also via social media to be able to do that. Can I create my own robot or playgrounds in VEX Code VR? No, VexCode VR is targeted towards learning programming with robots, not constructing your own playgrounds or not even constructing your own robots. There are other things you can do that with. Once again, really what we're trying to do with VexCode VR is to have students stay connected to Vex and stay connected to programming while they're at home, and obviously while both teachers and students are home right now. Is there professional development available for VexCode VR? Yeah, you're getting it right now via this webinar. Here's your PD. If you want more, let us know. We'll do more of them just focused on VexCode VR. But no, PD tools, professional development tools, those are in development right now. I just want to kind of emphasize to you, we were taken, I'm not sure if surprise is the right word, but we've really pivoted everything that we're doing right now as a result of everything that's going on with the coronavirus. VexCode VR, this release was not on our roadmap 3 weeks ago. Literally 3 weeks ago, we had a conversation, with what we were going to do in order to meet this current need right now of all of these students being home and teachers being asked to do this distance learning. People started reaching out to me via Twitter and being like, hey, Jason, there's anything that you can do to help us right now? I'm being asked to teach robotics while my students are at home. And then we spent a day or two brainstorming, and this is what we came up with 3 weeks later, which is VexCode VR, which you see right now, all the information via the knowledge base and all the activities that we created. Now that we have it out there, we really want to use you, our community, to kind of guide our next developments, our next releases. Like, what would you like to see? Do you want to see professional development? We can focus on that. Whatever that is, just please let us know. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can give us the feedback in the app like I showed you before if you want to see new challenges, if you want to see new playgrounds, different robots, whatever those are, different commands. Let us know that. We'll be happy to try to meet that demand as best as we can. If you're familiar with the release of VexCode IQ and V5 blocks, you saw that we did that. We did our initial releases and we heard things like, hey, we'd love to have a 4-motor drivetrain, and we did that. So we'll do the same thing here with VexCode VR. Just let us know what that feedback is, whether it's around professional development or whatever, and we'll be happy to be able to provide that for you. Can I manage my classroom or track my students for VexCode VR? You can't do that in the app itself because that would require students to be able to create accounts. And we felt like that would just be a big barrier of entry that we did not want the students to have to overcome, or teachers for that matter to be able to overcome, as they were just being introduced to VexCode VR. So there's no student login, no student accounts. But you can track progress through some of the tools that we built into it, just with the activities, the students being able to email you their lessons and things of that nature. Their answers, their programming solutions. Those are all things that we feel that you can use to track progress right now. Are there lesson plans available? I showed those to you here a minute ago. We have about either 17 or 18. I lost count of the exact amount that are in there right now. We'll have more coming up in the upcoming weeks and months. We'll be adding to that. And then, as I talked about with the PD, that's something that we're looking into also. So you can just stay tuned for that. We'll have more of those things coming also. A couple things that I did want to mention. I keep talking about kind of weeks and months. I do want to kind of give you a quick preview of things that are coming up kind of immediately. So kind of over the course, of the next 2 weeks or so. One of the advantages of VexCode VR being web-based is the fact that we don't have to release an update. Instead, we can just update over the web. So when you go ahead and launch in your browser, the updates will be in there. One of the first things that we're going to prioritize is My Blocks. That exists in VexCode IQ blocks and also VexCode V5 blocks. We're going to get that incorporated into VexCode VR here shortly over the course of the next week or so. So that's something that you can look forward to. Those are basically functions. So if you want to teach your students functions, you'll have a way to do that here upcoming. In addition to that, using the electromagnetic sensor, that's something that we're going to have upcoming over the course of the next, once again, week or so. We're going to get that built into also. That'll allow you to, once again, pick up objects that are on our tables and do some things of that nature. So those are some of the immediate updates that we have upcoming. Just got a last question. Will teachers get an answer key to those challenges? Yes, you will. That's something that'll be upcoming in the near future. Just stay, once again, when I say near future, I'm talking about the next couple days. So just stay tuned to VEX social media and also the VEX blog. And if you have not signed up for the VEX newsletter, go ahead and do that also. That way you'll be able to keep up to date with all those new developments upcoming here in the near future. Okay. I think that's all the questions. A couple other slides I just want to go over here with you real quick. Teacher resources, the blog. There's going to be a blog post going out on Friday. It's going out tomorrow. It's going to talk about a lot of the great features of VEXCode VR. So you can check that out there. Also, we'll have a landing page for VEXCode VR. It's going to live at code.vex.com. So you'll be able to check that out also to get all this great information about it. The STEM labs live at education.vex.com, where our activities live, and also our certification. So look for some more information coming up here in the very near future. If you are at home right now, and this is a good opportunity for you to become a VEX certified educator, even if you don't have a robot, we're looking for ways in order to make that happen for you. So kind of stay tuned for that. That's going to be upcoming. One of the things I did want to highlight for you also, let me move my face out of the way so you can see all of this, is our pin tool. A lot of great feedback that we've gotten from this. The VEX pin tool makes working with VEXiQ even easier. Use the pin tool just like you use a pair of pliers. This is great. I got the opportunity to kind of show this off at BET, which is a conference, an education conference in January over in London. Actually had someone offer me 50 pounds for this because they wanted it so much. The good news is you don't need 50 pounds to buy a VEX pin tool. It's just $7.99. These are in stock right now. You can go to the VEX website and order one of these. If you get a 10-pack, it's $50. This is a fantastic tool. If you've used VEXiQ plastic parts, you'll know this is a lifesaver for you. This allows you to take the pins out very easily. You can use the pusher, also to push a pen out, and then the lever, if you have like a corner connector, you can use it to pop that out also. So this is a great thing that you can use. You can go to the VEX website and check it out. This is a new product that we just released about a week ago, so I just wanted to show this off to you real quick also. Finally, thank you. This is a very, very, very trying time for teachers, all over the world right now. There are many things that you're being asked to do that you might not be used to doing. There's a lot of things that you're being asked to incorporate into your classroom. Teachers, you really make students feel seen. You really make them feel heard. And now it's a challenge for you to do that as you're teaching from your living room as opposed to your classroom. We want to provide you with everything that you possibly can to make that process easier for you. That's why we've worked so hard over the last couple of weeks on VEXCode VR, also the activities and also the knowledge base. So I want to say thank you, students. We want to also make sure that if you don't have a robot at home, you can stay connected to both computer science and VEX. So we're really out here working really hard for you also to be able to do that. Please feel free to ping me via Twitter. You can see my Twitter handle right there. If you want to be able to ask me questions about VEXCode VR, if you're looking for updates about VEXCode VR, you can also email me. You can actually email me at jason@vex.com if you don't want to worry about spelling my last name. You can use that email also. That works, just jason@vex.com. But please let me know if you, once again, we talked about kind of staying up to date with everything that we want to be able to do, and with all the updates that we got going on, we're more than happy to be able to do that with you. But once again, thank you very, very much for joining us this evening. We really enjoyed everyone that came on. You had a lot of great questions this evening. So thank you very much. Enjoy yourself. Please take care of yourself. Stay safe. Stay healthy, and stay tuned to VEX. So we got more webinars coming down the pike. Stay tuned to the blog. We have more information coming out, all designed to help you. Thank you very, very much, and good night.